Okay, before you guys come at me about the title of this video, I just wanted to say that I'm not trying to downplay Tamagotchi. I'm not trying to say that one is better than the other, even though my title definitely kind of feels that way. What I'm trying to say is that, you know, in my experience in the virtual pet community, Digimon have kind of been an not unknown thing, but not as many people know about it as you would think. And for example, like I started collecting virtual pets in 2006, and Digimon have been around since 97, and I didn't find out until I didn't know about that they were virtual pets until their 20th anniversary in 2017. So yeah, I just feel like that's like really crazy, especially because like I grew up watching the anime and I knew about Digimon, but I didn't know that they were actually virtual pets, and I think that they are definitely some of the best. I'm super picky about my virtual pets, and I don't know if it's because they're made by Bandai, and I mean Bandai is pretty dang good at the VPet thing. I don't know, there's just so many good things about them, so I wanted to make a video that compares the two throughout history, basically. And points out the things that Digimon has done that Tamagotchi has not failed to do, but kind of. I just wanted to say that before we got started so people aren't like upset. I was doing a live stream on my Instagram the other night, and somebody thought that I sold all of my Tamagotchi collection and only have Digimon now, which is not true. I still love both of them very much. I have just been favoring Digimon lately a lot. It's kind of weird to me that like even in the Tamagotchi collectors Discord, like Digimon are put into the odd pet category, and odd pets to me are like little pets that came out and didn't really have their own series, you know, of virtual pets. But Digimon has continued making virtual pets since '97. They don't really fit in with Tamagotchi because they're more like a cousin, I guess, but like they definitely could have their own category in my opinion. So yeah, I just wanted to make a Digimon appreciation video and highlight some of the things that I think they've done that are really cool. And that's it. That's enough of me rambling. Let's go ahead and get into actual content of this video. This is my first time filming with two cameras, so bear with me. Alright, so we're gonna start where it all began back in 1996 when Tamagotchi was released in Japan. I don't know the exact month. We're not going to really do months in this video because it was hard for me to pin down exactly what months the Digimon releases especially were made. So for the purposes of this video, we're just going to go by year and kind of guess around that. But anyway, so Tamagotchi was released in 1996 in Japan. This is actually the P2. This is the oldest Tamagotchi that I own. So, so for the purposes of this video, this is going to be a stand-in for the P1. It's not exactly the same, but it's good enough. So we're going to be looking at the first generation of each pet. We have the P2 here, the Tamagotchi P2, and we have the Digimon V3 here, which is, again, not the first in the series, but this is what I had laying around, and it already had batteries in it, so I was like, let's do it. And for the points I want to bring up, the V3 and the V1 are identical, pretty much, kind of. So the first thing or the biggest thing that you notice between these two, in my opinion, when you're using them, and I know that the Tamagotchi P2 was released before the Digimon, but like the button responsiveness is just so much better. Like if you're trying to play a vintage virtual pet, in my opinion, I always want to run a Digimon because just like, look at this. It's super fast. It's basically the same like responsiveness as a modern pet, whereas this one, I can be smashing the button and it will go really slow. But this one, super quick, right? And like that's kind of a minor thing, but oh, we're evolving. Okay. You know, but it does make a big difference when you're playing with these guys, in my opinion, especially because, you know, we're used to things working quickly And I think in terms of the tech holding up, in this case, I think that the Digimon have held up a lot better in that sense. Also, another thing to note is the animations are a lot more detailed on the Digimon than on the original Tamagotchi virtual pets. And that is true for the the later iterations in the series, like the Tamagotchi Angel that we have right here. See, it just kind of boops around and doesn't really do much, whereas Digimon, let me clean up the poop. He bounces around, he turns kind of, and then he'll do a little roar. So like their animations already off the bat are more, it feels more like a legitimate virtual pet in my opinion. That's kind of mean to say, but you know, it just feels more like a well-rounded pet in terms of functionality, in terms of animations. So yeah. The Tamagotchi Angel was released in 1997 as well as the Digimon V1. This was released in 97, this was released in 96. This one, obviously, you know, they've had a whole year to, you know, improve and make things better, like the button responsiveness and the animations. But these guys came out in the same year, if we're pretending this is a V1. Again, it is not. But like, still, the buttons are super slow to respond. I'll be hitting them, and super slow, super limited animations. I feel like I already brought that up with this guy, but you know, I rest my case. Like, just not a whole lot different. Like, you'd expect if they can do this, that they could make this better, but they didn't. One of the biggest things that make Digimon what they are is their ability to connect with other pets. And we do have the Tamagotchi did have the Asuchi and Mesuchi pets that were able to connect with each other. However, they were only able to connect once they've reached adult stage, and the only function that they can carry out is getting married once in adult stage. And, you know, the only thing that this guy can do is battle. But you can battle as many times as you want. You know, the more you battle, the stronger Digimon you're going to get, or whatever. That's totally just a generalization, but, you know, that's how it goes. In terms of gameplay, that's a huge advantage, in my opinion, because there's just something extra that you can do. You can interact with your friends, you can, you know, so it adds another level of, like, you feel connected to this little thing that you're raising because you want it to be the strongest and you want it to be the best, and there's a sense of accomplishment when you win, and you're competitive with your friends, and I think that's just really cool, especially for obviously kids who are playing with it. That just makes it a better toy overall. And I'm trying to be nice to Tamagotchis too. Tamagotchis are great, but I honestly think it's really hard for me to compare vintage Tamagotchis to Digimon, because I just feel like the vintage Digimon are just way better. And I know some people don't like it that you have to own more than one device to unlock all the different characters or whatever, but I mean, you just get one more and then you have everything. Like, it's not that big of a deal to me, especially because I'm the kind of person who collects a bunch of these anyway, so yeah. Oh yeah, one thing I did want to say, I'm you know, pooping all over Tamagotchi, but the button responsiveness and the animations did get better with the vintage Tamagotchis. Like, I think the Tamagotchi Mothra actually adopted the animation pattern of the Digimon, and I think that makes a big difference. And I think that's why the Mothra is probably one of the best vintages, in my opinion. And I think the button responsiveness was a bit better on those. I think it might have started getting better starting with the Merino, but I have one, but I'm not gonna, I didn't want to bring out that many pets for this video. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the next iteration of Digimon V Pets, which was the Digimon Pendulum. And the Pendulum is really unique because not only can it connect? It can connect with the older pets, which is awesome. Physically, it's a bit of an upgrade, bigger buttons, it's nice to hold, whatever. And it has a new feature, which is the shaking, so it's another way to interact with your device, which some people love and some people don't. I might be on the side that isn't the biggest fan, but I still enjoy this device for sure. Tamagotchi Angel, the Tamagotchi Umino, the Tamagotchi Merino all had a feature where you can tap it to interact with it. So I think that the shaking might have been inspired by, the tapping features from the Tamagotchi Angel and stuff like that. Like the idea of having a sensor that the user will do a certain motion or whatever and it will affect the pet, whatever. The Digimon virtual pets kind of got an upgrade in that sense. The connectivity thing is just such a big deal to me, and Digimon just did it way before, Tamagotchi really started getting into it. And one of the coolest parts about this device is that you can Jogress, or some people call it DNA Digivolve. Basically, you can raise two Digimon, and if they are compatible, you can basically make them evolve together into a stronger Digimon, which is so cool, and it just adds another layer, or adds another connectivity feature. So not only can you battle, but you can also Jogress. It's like, what are Tamagotchis doing in 98 when this is out? In 98, around the time that this was being released, and the pendulum shaking and the Jogressing, I think, are a really big deal. They released the Tamagotchi Merino, which again has a similar functions to this, which is just, you take care of it, and sometimes you'll need to tap it to interact with it. But that's pretty much all that they've done. I feel bad. I keep feeling bad for saying these things because there's so many good things about these guys, but I'll save it for another video. Anyway, so I think that's enough for vintage era pets. I probably could go on and say more, honestly, but I'm not going to. We're just going to move on. For the next pet series I want to talk about, which I think did a better job overall, is the Tamagotchi Mini or Chibi and the Digital Monster Mini. A lot of people don't like the Chibi. I honestly do really love it. If I want to run something and not worry about it, I think it's a great option. I like the chunky pixels, etc. But in terms of functionality, it doesn't do a whole lot. It doesn't retain a lot of its functionality. You can feed it and clean up poop, but there's no game. There's no game. You can turn off the lights. Yeah, that's about it. So it doesn't, everything that this guy can do, this guy definitely, the Chibi cannot do everything the original Tamagotchi could do. However, the Digital Monster Mini can basically do everything that the original Digital Monster virtual pets can do. Meaning, you can feed, you can train, you can battle. And those are the main things. You can still turn off the lights. Both these you can turn off the lights, change the time, whatever. But come on. You can't compare these two, basically. It's not really fair. And it's why didn't they do something the screen resolution on these is also similar to that of the original, so the characters end up being the same size. I do like that the Chibis have really funky, kind of chunky little sprites, but it kind of seems like you've been cheated out of something when you see how cool the Digital Monster Minis are, and then the Chibi kind of falls flat for a lot of people. And I don't feel as bad saying that because a lot of people do think that. Also, the Digital Monster Mini, it came out with 3 different variations. Each version of the Digital Monster Mini has its own roster, which is really cool. They never did anything like that with the Chibi, and it just doesn't really make sense to me because they were both marketed as fashion accessories. They're both supposed to be simpler and blah blah blah, but they just seem to put a lot more effort into the Digital Monster Mini, whereas the Chibi, It literally just is a little egg. I love both of these devices. If I really want something super simple and not a challenge at all, I'll run this. It is simple, but it's kind of more difficult to run. But I do think that this overall is better. I hate myself. Or one of the unfortunate things about the Digimon Virtual Pet series is that they kind of stopped after the version 4, I think. They didn't have the pendulums, and they didn't have the digital monster. They didn't have the digital monster minis, and it's just kind of sucks. I think that might be one of the reasons why people in the US don't really remember Digimon Virtual Pets as much. It's like, you know, I saw the Digivices a lot as a kid, and you know, and so I remember commercials for those, but I was too young to remember the Digimon Virtual Pets because they weren't here very long. So now I kind of want to move away from comparing and get into one thing. Like, I think, you know, this release was really a big moment for Digimon. I think that it brought more visibility to the series, because like I said, at least in America, it kind of had been forgotten. It kind of gave the series new life, and they've been continuing to release Digimon Virtual Pets since this has been released, and that is the Digital Monster version 20th. And this is the Japanese version. We obviously have an English version now as well, but I think this was a game changer, at least, I mean, definitely for me personally, because like I said, I didn't even know that Digimon were virtual pets until I saw somebody posting about these being up for pre-order, and I was like, oh my god, like, what is that? And I think, like, in terms of an anniversary device, this is the best thing. This and the Pendulum 20th, obviously, is the best thing that, or one of the best things that Bandai has released ever in terms of, like, paying homage to their previous work and that kind of thing. Like, it's just so amazing to be able to raise all of the Digimon from the Virtual Pets versions 1 through version 5. Like, that is just so cool. And they basically took this and just made it so much better. It's just kind of amazing. Like, imagine, I thought about this a lot. Like, imagine if there was a Tamagotchi that had all of the different eggs in one. And so, like, you could raise an angel, and then raise a merino, and then raise a devil, and then raise an umino, like, all in one device. That would be amazing. Like, that would, I mean, I understand why they didn't, I think, because the different versions are very different, and, well, honestly, I don't really understand why they didn't. Never mind, I take that back. Yeah, it's just, like, so cool. It was such a cool idea. Instead of releasing, you know, a version 1 re-release, like the P2 got released again, you know, individual releases, like, they just put it all in one, and that's just such a cool idea. And that's definitely, like, one of the biggest things that I think that they did right. It's pretty amazing if you think about it. Why didn't Bandai release, like, an Angel version 20th, or a 20th anniversary release, or re-release the Devils, which we've been asking for years, or, you know, I don't know, there's just so many things they could have done, but instead they only released the P1 and P2, which is, like, it's cool, but people like the special versions better. You can't even really compare the Digital Monster version 20th to the P1 and P2 Tamagotchi re-releases. Like, it's just not really fair. Who's your favorite child, Bandai? Another thing that I, you know, think Digimon has done so well in terms of the pets and Digivices is backwards compatibility. Like, this device, which is over 20 years old, can connect with this device, which is only 3 years old, and it can also connect to this device, which just came out this year. That's, like, amazing. Like, okay, and this is a problem that Tamagotchi has struggled with for a while. Like, they can't really grasp the fact, or at least in Japan, like, when the Connection series is out. These are both Japanese connections, an Intama and an Uratama, and they can connect together, but they can't get married, which was kind of the main idea of the Connection series, was, like, marrying I mean, playing games and stuff connecting too, but like being able to get married and have babies is like one of the biggest functions on these. And the N-Tama and Ur-Tama are very, very, very similar, but they cannot get married. It's like, okay, why did you do that? The English series were better about backwards compatibility, like the V1 through V4.5 could connect and get married, which was nice. In some ways, I kind of understand why they can't get married, like because this guy has characters that this one doesn't have, so they'd have to like put a stand-in character in the books or whatever. You know, so it kind of makes sense, but it's like these guys can do what they're supposed to, you know? But yeah, that's a big thing for me is, you know, especially as a collector, being able to have all of these devices from spanning over decades and they can still connect with each other. Like, that's pretty killer, honestly. You know, you look at video game series nowadays and you think about like Game Boy Advance and then you think about the Nintendo Switch, and it's like those two would never be able to connect, but these guys still can. And that kind of leads to my point where I want to start talking about things that Digimon lack, unfortunately, that Tamagotchi have been given throughout the years, color screens being a big one. You know, I don't really know why Bandai has, like, I mean, I think based on what I can tell on the internet, it seems as though Tamagotchi have been more of a profitable series for them than Digimon have, at least in terms of the pets. Digimon, obviously, in terms of like the anime and merchandise and that kind of thing, I think Digimon has done better in that area. But the virtual pets, they're kind of like they're technically like a premium Bandai type thing, and I think they're just like trying to milk the nostalgia for as long as they can. It's still cool that these guys can, like, my device from 97 will and still be able to connect with my device from 2020, and it's going to be able to connect with a device that isn't even a virtual pet. It's a Digivice. That's going to come out this year, hopefully. Speaking of like the anime and stuff, that's another thing that you get with Digimon that you don't get with Tamagotchi. You get a lot more detailed lore, you have manga, you have anime, you have plushies. You just have a lot more details about the characters that you enjoy. I know that Tamagotchi had an anime back in the day, and I remember the Tamagotchi movie being really good when that came out with like the V5 era or whatever. That was really cool, but like it's not as nearly in depth as the Digimon franchises, which is really, really cool. So you can be like raising a character and then you can be watching the anime that has that character, and like that sounds like a very childish thing to enjoy, but it's cool. That's just kind of like an extra thing you get with Digimon, I guess. And I'm speaking purely as a virtual pet collector. Like, Digimon are kind of unique in that sense. I don't really know of another virtual pet that has as much anime type stuff going for it. Or like, I mean, there's a card game. There's probably a bunch of different things I could mention. Tamagotchi has been given an app and color screens and blah blah blah. But, you know, Digimon have anime and card games and so many different cool things. Each pet has its strengths and its weaknesses, but I do really love both. I think that's about all I have for this topic. This was really fun to talk about. I think I'm going to make a part 2 or a, flip side where I show off things that Tamagotchi has done that Digimon has not. And I mean, it's probably going to be me saying, oh, I wish Digimon had this, I wish Digimon had that. Tamagotchi deserve to be appreciated too. I think they both are really great. Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I definitely will be thinking up ideas for the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm sorry it's so long, and I hope I didn't ramble too much. Yeah, if there's anything I failed to mention in this video that you think that Digimon do really well, especially compared to other virtual pets. Just let me know in the comments, and if you have anything that you would like me to discuss in my next video, talking about things that Tamagotchi have been given and Digimon have not, just, yeah, let me know in a comment. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys, and I hope you stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.